The pronoun I in this context is nearly always an indication of a sense of one's separate identity. I as something distinct from others, I and others. And similarly, me, mine, I, me and mine are all key indicators of ego. Well, you might think, well, what is life without them? What do we know of that isn't this? Well, exactly, we don't really know what it is to be free of ego. This is the human condition. We're completely swallowed up by it. Another aspect of the ego is the fact that it is mortal, it dies. Everything that dies is this. So look at your body, look at your thoughts, which are here today and gone tomorrow. They're temporal, they die away. So all this is of the ego. Well, again, you may ask, well, what's left? Now we're getting somewhere. The only times we may catch glimpses of what it is to be free of ego is when you completely forget your body, your mind, and the separate I, which is of course kept alive by the action of the mind, by thinking oneself separate. It isn't actually out of people's experience. You have the common phrase taken right out of myself. I completely forgot. It usually happens completely involuntarily. It's not something we can actually organize for ourselves. Just moments when you're just maybe out for a walk or something, or just taken by something particularly interesting, beautiful, and you just completely forget about your own separate existence. It's usually moments that we remember as being happy. It's wonderful, and you literally forget. You know, the word wonderful is interesting because it's actually full of one. Wonderful. What is it? Why do we use this word, wonderful? Because we lose in that moment our separation. And then what usually happens is that the mind thinks, oh, I wish I could keep it. I wish I could live here forever. So the hand goes out and grabs it and wants to claim it. Keep it for who? For me, of course, this separate entity. My mind always goes back to the original story of Genesis, the way that it's described that in the beginning, man, and incidentally at that time was singular. Adam, the first man, as described in Genesis, was one, you see. One man, made in the image of God, so of course, one. Without going into details which I can't possibly know, nobody really quite understands that. But just think of that little example of a newborn baby. But when it's just one, it's wonderful, isn't it, that first little baby? Innocence, which is another word for paradise, isn't it, the age of innocence. And how that baby, quite soon really, begins to reach out its little hand. And then the mother or father often says, do you want it? The baby says yes or no. And then begins to fall into what we call duality, which is separation. And then down, bump, bump, bump down the slippery slope into ever more complexity, ever more division and separation. Now from separation, of course, one of the things that arises is fear, because we're insecure. We've lost our home, where we belong. So fear and the instinct for survival are all arise out of this situation. How can I protect myself? What about me, we say, worried about what are we going to eat and drink and all this. That is the case unless or until we're fortunate enough to drawn on to doing spiritual work, and once again by, for example, the practice of meditation, begin to rediscover at first moments and then longer periods of what it is to actually be one. And in those times of oneness, of wholeness, this is of course the meaning of to be whole, we do indeed forget about our ego and the body and how we're going to cope in this life. These things are just laid aside and forgotten. And we rediscover something that you don't need anybody else to tell you. It's just, we intuitively, instinctively know it's right.